This is the teaching by definition session, Tuesday morning, late Tuesday morning, early Tuesday morning. I was still up. Didn't take long to spend the night. So, under the given circumstances, the fact that most of us didn't get a full night's sleep, we're going to take the requests, the thing that was requested first yesterday, and demonstrate that this morning. Hopefully we can find a square that can stay on their feet. Teaching the mainstream program is a relatively simple task if you have done a thorough job teaching the basic program by definition. We're well along into our program now with our dancers. They know what we're looking for. If properly taught at the basic level, and by the use of demo squares and demo couples, it's about all we need from this level on, from the mainstream level on up, is someone to show the people, the dancers, exactly what has to be done, and then the teaching process becomes relatively simple. We have some difficult moves in the mainstream program. We have some misunderstood moves in the mainstream program. We have some controversy in definitions at the mainstream level, of which Frank will relate to you when I start teaching one in a minute. So, Frank and I, frankly, do not disagree on many things. But when we do disagree, we disagree. So, and that's a very wholesome situation that we have. We have learned to be disagreeable if we want to with each other. And he has never convinced me that he's right. And vice versa. So we have fun disagreeing, really. Back to the basic program. It's just the one thing that must be done thoroughly in teaching is to teach your basic program thoroughly. From then on, if a dancer wants to go through mainstream, he will have not very many problems. If he wants to go into plus, not many problems. As we said yesterday, the higher you go in the square dancing world, the more and more things become combinations of the things we have learned prior to. So, if they're well schooled and properly educated in doing a turn through, think how many times they're going to be using that in things that they do down the line. Like square chain through. Back to that. And split square through. So the dancers taught by definition, dance by definition, throughout their square dancing life in the activity. And we're going to hurriedly get into, we're so involved with showing things and demonstrating things that I forgot to mention yesterday that I use demo squares and demo couples throughout my teaching. We have the people there. I'm not a great believer in angels. Very few angels we find that don't push and pull and guide and direct people into doing things that maybe we don't want them to do. The people that are my demo squares are talked to by me and schooled by me on how I want them to show something, and I want them to use proper styling. I want them to dress properly, even though we don't stick to dress code with our class members until maybe their first hoedown or something that they go to. But in the use of angels in my classes, I find that they help me not to know whether my dancers can dance or not. If I see a square of people who don't have anyone helping them, I know what they can do. I know who is not doing their part. But if I have one couple guiding people, I don't know if they know what they're doing or not. I know they're being guided. Maybe they could do the move without being guided. I don't know. So we use the Ballard numbering system. This is not a commercial. To mix dancers. If we have to use some of our demo square people to fill squares and make everything come out even, we will do that. We will let them take a number and become a part of our class that night. So everyone dances every tip unless they ask to sit out, and they know not to ask to sit out if it's a teaching tip. So we kind of work with the demo squares this way, and they work with us that way. So I want to have our rest of our panel. Have all of you been here every time? You look so familiar. You look like the same old bunch. Well, maybe. I'd like to introduce our panel to you. We're going to start with number 1 today. Ralph Trout right here. Buddy Allison. Frank Lane. Yeah, this is Ernie. Right. I think I saw Buddy this morning about 2, and I think he was drunk. I saw 2 of him. Not really. I would like to call Ralph. Would you like to say something in opening up here? Say something.
Something. No, from the other 2 previous meetings, from some of the questions I've been asked and some of the things that have been going on, discussions and everything, I would like to, just for my own curiosity, see a little bit of a raise of hands on a couple questions. I'm not asking for any answers. I would just like to see from a majority where some of these things are coming from. How many here teach beginner classes? How many also? That's a nice show of hands. That's nice. How many of you have a copy of the updated version of the definitions? The hands are getting fewer. Okay. How many of you teach standard positioning first? How many teach standard positions first? Every question the hands are getting less and less and less. How many teach beginners DBD, dancing by definition? All of them. Dance by definition. What is your dropout level or ratio after 1 year after graduation? Is it high? Is it low?
High.
High? High. It's a lot higher than we'd like it. No, I was just sitting last night marking these things down, and I was really curious because some of the questions I've been asked the last couple of days. I'm glad to see a lot of people teach beginners. Number 2, if you want a version or a list of the updated list of the CALLERLAB definitions, they don't have them here, but you know the booklet Bob Osgood has, the mainstream, that has all the CALLERLAB definitions in. They do have those various places too. Good, Bill. They have them down the exhibitors. All the CALLERLAB definitions are in those books that Bob Osgood has brought out. Dancing by definition. standard positions, I'm finding out more and more all the time that I am keeping more of my dancers working with the DBD, dancing by definition. The experiments we've tried, our dropout rate has went down because we're making them better dancers, I feel, by being honest with them, teaching them by the definition, working with them by the definition, and it's been working very successful in our area. And I was just really curious to see how, or if there's any comments or anything in your areas where these things are happening. But it has been working very well for us. It's helped our dropout rate. It's making better dancers I see on the floor, and dancers I see move on up on the different levels. If it's their choice, it's making better dancers there. So I just, like I said, want to show hands, but each thing I showed, I saw less and less hands all the time. Okay? Thank you. That's all I have.
You've got my curiosity aroused. I don't think we ought to go on the rest of the meeting. I want to know what we're going to disagree about. You ever have this feeling someone's poised at your back with a knife, and he knows where it's going to hit, and you don't? We've had some good sessions, but I think this ought to get better, because I think we ought to stand up and speak our piece. I've had my thoughts sitting up here that many of you are just sitting there nodding your head, when you don't really mean it. Don't be afraid to disagree with this rascal. I disagree with him all the time, and we are still pretty good friends. Lonnie and I are real good friends. He's a pretty good friend. So get up there, and if you disagree with things that are being said up here, let's hash them out and discuss. Because here's what I'd like to have you do. If you just sit there and nod like this, you're going to leave this room saying, well, that's okay, but I don't think I'm going to try it. I want you to get up and fight for what you believe. If it's different than what Ernie or I have said, fine. Then, if the consensus of the whole group goes with Ernie or with you, let's all leave here, do the thing that we decide as a group is the correct method or the correct route to follow. That's the thing I'm going to encourage you to do. I think that unless we give a little, and also take a little, but we've got to give, that these meetings are not going to fulfill the purpose for which they are intended. If you're not going to abide by what the discussions come out, you're wasting your time. You can go out, play around in the hall here with your friends and have a lot more fun than sitting here and listening to all this yakking. But if you're going to put to use the things that the group decides are better for square dancing, then this meeting is going to be of great benefit. We're going to be into some things this morning that we are going to get in here, and I don't know, like I say, I don't know where we're going to disagree because we haven't talked this over, and he's saving something for me. But there is one thing we're going to discuss this morning that I want to encourage you, and I'll do that when we get there. On all definitions, don't lie to your dancers. Don't define it one way and teach it that way, and then call things that almost fit the definition. Once you've defined it, stick by what you've taught the dancer. Make it accurate. And turn-through is the one I'm talking about that when we come to, I am real violently opposed to the way turn-through is being used in our square dance program. Utilize all the allowable formations. That's what the definitions are all about. But don't violate by using definitions that are disallowable. Don't stretch the intent. There's plenty of variety available with what the author or the CALLERLAB committee that defined that basic allows us. We don't have to go way out into left field somewhere to find some real weird formation. There's plenty of variety and choreography available with what we've got. So utilize every available formation, but don't violate the intent by stretching the definition to fulfill some little gimmick you have in mind. Gimmicks are fun, they're fine, but you can usually do them within the framework of correct rules and not have to break the rules. Okay.
Sure is. We would like to have this morning a better demo square than we've had the past two days, please. And if we can't get any one better, we'd like to have the same ones back that we've had. Could we have some, all we want right off is 2 demo couples, just 2 couples to come forward right up here in the vacant area, please. Any 2 couples. Sure you have. First of all, we're going to read definition number 50 by request, called Turn Through Family. In this family there are 2 children, a turn through and a left turn through. Starting formation, facing dancers. It doesn't say facing couples. It does not say facing boys or facing girls. Facing dancers. Each dancer steps forward to join right forearms with the other dancer, please. Beautiful. Get your fingernails out of his arm, Mickey. They turn by the right 1/2, 180 degrees. Release armholes. Step forward, ending cheek to cheek, back to back with each other. So what have they done in essence? A U-turn back. They're back to the spot from whence they came, facing the opposite direction. So, when we teach our dancers to turn through, first we give them the starting position, the finishing position, in place. We tell them to turn around, and they're at the ending position. So do a U-turn back, and you should be back where you started. If you do a left turn through, it's done with a left forearm turn. So do a left turn through. Very good. Do a U-turn back. Answer this for me now. Swing through, please. Boys trade. Turn through. Is that a legal call?
No.
Swing through, boys trade, turn through.
No, because there were no facing dancers.
Starting formation, facing dancers. Are you facing dancers if you're in a wave? Do a U-turn back. Swing through. Girls trade. Turn through. Oh, we don't care. We don't care. Is this a legal call by definition?
For the sake of argument, CALLERLAB recommends our hands up for swing throughs. We're doing forearm turns. Why?
I wasn't even watching him. No, I said swing through.
Hands up.
I said swing through. Swing through his hands up. They made a mistake. Sir,
Why?
we're being taped. Would you please go to the microphone?
Don't they say that you can do anything from waves that you can do from facing?
There you are.
Okay.
There you have to get a little further into your definitions, in my opinion. You have to go back and see what can happen, what happens with waves and what happens with facing couples. Okay? Another controversy, could we have 2 more couples, please? 2 more couples.
2 additional couples?
Oh, we're back to the same group again. At least he has a long sleeve shirt today. Has a different partner.
One more couple.
One more couple, please. One more couple, please. Can we have one more, please? It's your time. Here we come. Thank you. Come on.
One more couple? They've been watching you dance.
All right. Let's do this. Have the boys, for the sake of hurrying, star left. Watch this, Frank. Turn through at home. Left Alabama, etc. Is this a legal turn through? We do it. We do it, and it's written in the singing calls. That makes it legal, doesn't it?
They turned a partner by the right, that's directional.
That is not a. Is that a turn through? Turn your partner by the right. Is that a turn through? Is a left Alabama a left turn through? Should we teach our dancers that a left turn through is the same as a left Alabama? Once again, check your definitions.
Why does somebody fight with us?
Right.
Y'all are calling us that way. Those that are making records are recording them that way.
Ah.
Why'd you fight back?
Now he's talking about us. Okay, that's what we want to know. Have the boys star by the left, all the way around to your partner. Where are the girls? Which way are the girls facing? Which way are the girls facing? If she would adjust, who told her to adjust? Now, let's every one of these dancers, and I know they can because they're smart people, they're callers' wives, and our callers, and I know they can do the exact finished product of a turn-through if they start from where they are. All of you do the finished part of a turn-through, please. The finished part of a turn-through, which is a U-turn back. I know, but I didn't ask them to start it. I said, I want the position. So they could not have done a turn-through, could they, from that position, because the girls were looking in and the boys were looking out, going contrary to what the girls were. They were not facing.
I think when you say turn through, though, the girls would Are they not inactive dancers? Like
The girls are in.
You have split two. The inactive dancers do move. The ladies are inactive dancers. Wouldn't it be legal for them to adjust for that?
They're not facing. I'm going back to the definition. I'm not asking them to adjust. I'm asking you to teach and call by what the definition says. I'm not saying that we call it, they do it. Don't they? They always do. You have to have the microphone. We have people in line back there. Go ahead. Name, please.
Len Burkus from Colorado. Question that I would have. Facing dancers is also true for a do-sa-do. And if by saying the men star left once around and go home to their partner and do a turn-through is improper, would it also be improper then to star left once around and go home and do a do-sa-do? Once you do the do-sa-do, you have facing dancers, then you could do a turn-through, I would think.
Oh, yes. Once you do a do-sa-do, but can you do a do-sa-do from that position? Are they people facing when they finish the star?
I believe this, that from static square, you can tell dancers to do-sa-do their corner, and the first thing they have to do a do-sa-do is face the person that they are to do the do-sa-do with.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not part of the definition of the call, but it's something that they have to do if they are not already facing the person, and you designate with whom they're to do-sa-do, they must face.
Do we usually call that, do we as callers just say from a static square, do-sa-do your corner, or do we usually say walk around?
I believe that we teach do-sa-do long before we get to all around your left-hand lady.
I don't.
What I'm saying is that I believe that the turn-through can be done in the same manner as the do-sa-do from a men star left once around, because they can get to face the person that they are to face to execute the turn-through with.
Yeah, we're getting into interpretation, really, and we can go go to through interpretations all day. I don't want to get too far into that. I want to know how we're going to teach this by definition. Proceed, please.
Jerry Powell, I agree with you in the interpretation you've used here, but the typical singing call sequence is more likely to be an alaman left and then a do sa do. And if the ladies then do not adjust to face in, which they should not,
the men star left.
The men star left, the turn through would be proper, inconsistent with the definition. Another place in which turn through is improperly used in singing calls is at the end of an Alamo wave, turn through to an alaman left. If you do the turn through there, you're going to have the men will be facing out and the girls will be facing in.
You had the same comment, Darrell and Wayne?
Yeah, that's
okay. Very good.
Stu Shacklet, Brandenburg, Kentucky. I don't know what the big deal is. All you have to do is say face your partner, turn through, or when you get back home, face your partner in do sa do. It satisfies the requirement and in the definition. I mean, just by adding one or two words to your command, you satisfied it.
That's right. I think you're right. I think sometime we have to do this. We have to say one little thing to make everything proper. But the question I'm putting to you, is it proper if we don't say that one or two little things? Is this the definition? And this is what we're going by, what is written on this document. Static square. Alaman left in the Alamo style, right to your partner. Swing through. Swing through again. Turn through. Each dancer steps forward to join right forearms with the other dancer. They turn by the right one half, release arm holds, and step forward, ending back to back with each other. We have a starting position and an ending position. Should we always, by definition, should we always start with the starting position and always end with the ending position? Or should we make adjustments to suit our fancies? If it's a hi-hat singing call, I say yes, adjust. I don't know. Well, that guy's in the plus area.
Jerry Reed from Virginia. And it seems here like what we need to do is perhaps adjust those definitions. We have a lot of real
that takes 12 years.
Well, we have a lot of real smooth flowing choreography here that the dancers enjoy doing, and which does flow smoothly if they adjust. And then we can, if we're restricted to only doing those things on the definition, then it sounds like perhaps we should attempt to change those definitions.
I'm going to let my good friend's husband.
Let's don't get mired down in the negativism of this thing. I'm a little bit with you. Let's get going and find out what we can do rather than what we can't. And Ernie's point is beautifully taken. We are misusing the word turn through when we do not mean turn through. We mean swing with the right hand, and not necessarily how far. The points he's made have been very viable, and that's great. The thing that I think you're trying to put across is we're doing left-hand stars into turn throughs to Alaman lefts. My contention is, why call that a turn through? Why not call it turn with the right and Alaman left? That way you're not stipulating 180-degree change of direction, drop hands, walk by. You're not lying. My little priest thing I said, let's don't lie to the dancers. If we teach turn through, let's keep it turn through. And that's the thing I think we got to get on with here, and not take the negative side of this thing of don't do this and don't do that. Let's find out what we can do. That's the thing that I think we're in here for.
Jim?
Yeah, Jim Blackwood, Quincy, Illinois. I think one thing that I've noticed this meeting and the other meetings, when we start talking about these things, I think all of us have some cutesy types of moves that we like to use that violate the definitions occasionally. And if we would either use the right words or give up some of these things that really aren't quite proper, like Frank said, we need to give and take, and some of the things that we need to give are places where we're using improper choreography because of the improper usage of the definition.
Oops, excuse me. Okay, Jim Davis, Saginaw, Michigan. In a right and left grand, or weave the ring, technically we are weaving in and out. Perhaps the reason I would figure turn through out of a right and left grand is because I feel that I have dancers moving clockwise and dancers moving counterclockwise. Therefore, technically, they would be occupying the same space as they are passing.
Except that...
Well, okay, Alamo too. I'm just saying that even though the actual body flow is in and out, it's more than 180 degrees or less than 180 degrees, technically I do have them moving exactly clockwise or exactly counterclockwise.
I don't know how I can get over there and have a microphone in my hand. But what, everybody in that group, face your partners. Now this is where they're going to be at Weave the Ring, for instance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, this is...
Approximately.
Yeah.
I mean, enough so that we can assume they are facing. We're not going to... That's why I said, let's don't get into the negative things. And I think what you're saying is that a turn through here probably would bring them in the proximity of their corner, and they probably would element. I'm not arguing the results. I'm really not. I'm not arguing the results at all. I agree. If we turn through from here, they're going to find their corner. They're going to Alaman left. The thing that bothers me a little bit is that they're not going to turn the same amount. They're not going to turn 180 degrees. Would this couple right here, what is that, number 2, Ernie? Okay, now watch. If they turn right hand until they're going toward their corner, do that. She has not turned a full 180 degrees. He has turned more than that. Because right about here is where she's starting to go toward her corner to get to an element left. He's got to come clear around to about here before he does. That's why I say I had to walk away from here, and that was lost to the tape. So what I'm saying is he has to turn further than 180 degrees to be going toward his corner. She has to be turning less. And I think all we're saying is turn with the right hand is no harder to say than turn through, and we're not lying to anybody. I think that's what Ernie and I are trying to prove. Does that halfway fulfill? I'm willing to discuss and argue as far as that's concerned, but that's the contention I think that Ernie and I are working on, is the fact that let's keep precision into it if we're going to teach precisely.
But Frank, couldn't you say turn through and then find your corner?
Why lie to them? I'll tell you. Let me continue and see if this answers your question. I'm not trying to sidestep it. I'm not trying to put it down. The very same fellows I find who are uncertain of this never use turn-through choreography because their dancers seem to be a little uncertain about turn-through. Square your set a moment. I like to use turn-throughs as part of choreography. For instance, head couples turn-through. And separate around one in the middle, meet your partner with a left, your original partner, with a left turn-through. And then do something with the right hand with the outside too. But we're utilizing a 180-degree change of directions. We're utilizing the pull by or the drop hands and pass through. We're precisely positioning them. If they were just turning until they saw somebody, those dancers can't dance this type of choreography. And I, for one, in traveling, find that I'm quite limited sometimes in what turn-through choreography I can use in some areas, because turn-through is only being used from right and left grands, Alamo styles, weave the rings, and all it means is turn with the right hand until you see somebody. Does that, am I way off base by saying this? Because I'm just asking. I'm not...
Well, I think of turn through just like you would say pass through. Okay, we have facing dancers. If they pass through, they're going to go straight ahead to the next spot. Okay, but In actuality, a body cannot pass through a body, so it's going to veer slightly left.
Oh, it's going to
and
veer
slightly
slightly,
right.
but Ernie pointed that out a while ago. He said the ending position is as though you did a U-turn back. He's not arguing 2 inches this way or 3 inches that way. I don't believe.
Okay, but we're not arguing a few degrees this way and that way either.
Yes, we are arguing degrees. Maybe that's what I
There
said.
we go.
We're
Yeah.
arguing inches. I'm not arguing inches. We are arguing degrees because I think the 180 degrees is a lot more important. Like I said, that's an opinion. That's what we're in here to discuss. And if we decide you're right, then I'm going to go along with your thinking.
No, I'm just offering my thinking. I'm not trying to sway anybody my way. Okay.
180 degrees is stated.
Yes.
2 inches is not.
Daryl, a word of wisdom.
Help us, Daryl.
Help us. Is this meeting open for motions?
No.
Or what? It's
No.
not open for motions. Recommendations?
Recommendations.
Okay, I recommend that somebody make a motion to advise all of these record producers, whoever they are, that they instruct their callers to use turn by the right to the corner, or right arm turn, and eliminate that part of it from the singing calls at least. And someplace in our lists define the difference between the two. I agree wholeheartedly that the turn through is not an exact definition of what we've been doing, and I would rather go ahead and call it properly. Thank you.
Daryl, when did you get on this? Because I've spotted this about a year and a half ago. All of a sudden, all the Chinook records started saying turn by the right, the Alaman left. And so
I don't know. Gee, I never noticed the change.
You did too. Somebody changed your mind.
Jim?
Frank, could I ask you to do the thing you started with from the turn through and ask the dancers to do an exact turn through so they wind up probably out of position which you would normally want them for an Alaman left? You're coming on the right and left grand to a turn through or something to a turn through, and you said that the dancers would be, one had to go further than the other. Would you ask them to do that same thing and have them do a proper turn through for me for a minute?
Just a minute, Jim. We have one more statement to take from the back, and we're going to close this turn through session at that point, except for John Jones, who's frantically waving back there. Frank is now with the group.
Okay, my question was, and now by definition for an Alaman left, does it not say that from any position where the dancers turn a quarter or 90 degrees or less to face the corner is a proper position to begin an Alaman from? So if they wound up in this position, do not all the dancers have to turn less than 90 degrees to get to that corner for an Alaman left? And so by the two definitions, we're still legal.
Bill Anderson, Staten Island. I think really what I have is a question, Ernie. Is not an Alamo ring an Alamo? Is not a wave an Alamo position? Aren't you still in front of a dancer? Wouldn't a turn through put one facing in and one facing out?
That's what we're saying.
So you're back to back.
Turn through from an Alamo.
That's not what I see up here.
No, this is a different situation.
Yeah. That's all. I just wanted to know.
Does this illustrate your thing? Now do a turn through and girls walk straight
On the microphone.
And the boys take time.
He says do a turn through and girls walk straight into the center, boys walk out. That is the proper turn through. Now, let's move along. John?
Before you move along, Ernie, and I haven't been able to attend all of your sessions, but have you covered a U-turn back from a turn through?
No, we haven't covered
As a
U-turn.
combination call. May I ask that question in the definition of U-turn back after a turn through? Which way would they turn? I get asked this question by dancers quite often.
It's body flow.
Am
is
I out of
one
line?
thing.
Is
No,
that-
I don't think
is it
you're
out
out
of
of
line?
line. Body flow is one thing. A definition is another.
I understand, but the definition of U-turn back also
toward your
dictates
partner.
body flow. May I ask that question, and can we answer that here this morning?
May we? May I find the definition for U-turn back? Help. Let me read that, dude. What's the number? Turn back family. U-turn back. Starting formation, single dancer. The dancer does an about-face turn 180 degrees in place, turning toward partner, unless body flow dictates otherwise. If alone, as in no partner, the dancer turns towards the center of the set. If the dancer is facing directly toward or away from the center of the set, he may turn in either direction. Okay? Let's have the sides turn through and do a U-turn back. I would say flowing direction for the boy would be away from his partner, and for the girls would be toward her partner. You have no flow, but I'm talking about comfortable. Sides turn through. Turn through. The definition says body flow.
All right turn there would be the body flow.
Ernie, excuse me.
John.
We could all see it better if there were only two couples up there.
Okay, let's have the head couples back away, please. Sides turn around again and turn through and do a U-turn back.
We cannot scoot back and roll because you're stepping straight
We're
forward.
not asking them to roll.
But
We're
you're
not-
stepping straight forward. On a turn through, you're stepping straight forward, so they would turn towards one another. There's no body flow to turn the man to the right away from his partner.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm asking them what's comfortable.
One I teach my dancers on a turn back to turn
Toward their partner. Number 13 says, if alone, as in no partner, the dancer turns toward the center of the set. If the dancer is facing directly toward or away from the center of the set, he may turn in either direction. But the dancer does an about face 180 degrees in place, turning toward partner, unless body flow dictates otherwise.
But as he steps forward, there's no body flow dictating.
I know.
So they would turn towards one
Turn
another.
through and do a U-turn back and turn the comfortable way.
There's body flow on the turn, half right, but as you step forward, it eliminates body flow.
I wouldn't argue with you. I think you're right. As for the definition, they must turn toward their partner. When we really get into definitions, we have two different sets of definitions for roll. If you're in the plus level and do a roll, you roll 1/4 in body flowing direction. And when you get to advanced and you have no flowing direction, they say body flow will be a turn around 180 degrees in direction called. So we have two different definitions for the word roll. And it's, if you want to do a roll with flowing direction, this confuses my dancers some, if we're doing an advanced level dance and we want to do pass and roll, the dancers have to do a different roll than they did if I said right and left through and roll, or star through and partner trade and roll. It's a different ball of wax for them. One is flowing direction, the other is directed direction. Proper, improper, I don't know. Wayne, we must get on to our next thing, please.
Yeah, I want to say this, and then you can go. On the, you was talking about singing calls, and the men star right and do a turn through. Normally, in most of your singing calls, your set-up call for the ladies is a left allo man come back, do a do-sa-do, then men star left, and you have the ladies facing the man when he comes back, so she's already in that position.
All hi-hat records are that way. We were just giving you an example. On to the next thing.
Was John Jones' question answered? Was his question answered? No.
Was your question answered, John?
No.
John, was there any particular reason besides just the fact that people ask you? Did you have something that was bothering you about it?
No, because lots of dancers do ask about it. Which way do I turn? And
right. Well, I think Ernie answered that legally, by the rules, they turn toward their partner. Then also, we agree there's no body flow.
Toward their partner to do a U-turn back. So I'm going to ask the same. Let's have the heads this time. Different people. Heads turn through and do a U-turn back.
May I ask this question then?
One guy turned in, one guy turned out.
I understand. May I ask this question in that particular regard? Is it not good dancing habits to be touching the hand of whomever's in the partner position before you begin the turn back? And if that be the case, one of them would use one hand and one the other. Or one would be using two hands in a row.
Let's do this. Turn through, hold hands, do a U-turn back.
The lady had to use the right hand twice in doing that particular situation. Right. Is that good or bad? Does that conform to the styling recommendations? And I don't believe we can completely separate styling and definition, even though they are in a separate paragraph.
You see why I didn't have turn through on my list? Let's do go on. Okay, squared sets. I would say if you're in doubt about a turn through, define it and use the definition. Teach it by definition. Head star through. I don't like to. I wouldn't start this like this. And the word or the phrase on the double track is not in a lot of. Sit down, Jerry. Not in a lot of our vocabularies. Not in a lot of our vocabularies. As younger callers, the older guys that have called for many, many years, like Frank and John, and a lot of your older callers, know about double tracks and things like that. But how many of you who have been calling, say, for 4 or 5 years know about a double track? Hold your hand up if you do. See? You don't know what I'm talking about. Well, so we don't have that term, so we can't educate everybody on what's a double track. So we go to Dixie style, if I can find a number 60. Jerry, while I'm looking for this, you have something to say that is not controversial. We've got to get on with our meeting.
I have never been known to bring up anything controversial. However, I would like to point out something to you. That we are running into a problem with our plus definitions, and the advanced level people are running into their definitions, and you guys are talking about dancing by definition, and we have just realized something. I don't know whether you guys realize in here or not. Part of the problem that we see is that, especially in a discussion like this, when you start dancing by definition, everybody in here is presuming that if it's not listed as a starting formation, that it is not allowable. And I would point out to you that in the preface of the approved mainstream definitions, it says, number 1, starting formations. Starting formations are listed for each of the defined calls. It does not say all starting formations. It does not say that the starting formations are exclusive of any other starting formations. So I think that you can argue from now to kingdom come whether spin chain through is allowable from an Alamo ring or a turn through is allowable from an Alamo ring, but according to your approved definitions, it does not say that these starting formations are exclusive of all others. Therefore, you haven't got a leg to stand on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, before you get out of here, Jerry, tell me where the end of that circle is in an Alamo ring, though, where it says the ends turn the adjacent center half.
You have to, if you want to start from a different formation, be sure you confine yourself to the definition. In other words, if we want to do a trade by from facing lines of 4, it's a pass through.
I declare that he be out of order and be stricken from the tape.
Well taken. We're going to number 60. I shall read for you number 60, and we have these people in what we call a double pass-through formation. That is also known as another formation. And the call is Dixie style to an ocean wave. Starting formation is facing couples or facing tandems. They are in facing tandems. Okay? From facing couples, the right-hand dancer steps forward and to the left to become a lead dancer in a tandem. So here I read into the definition that all Dixie styles must start from facing tandems. We ask the girls to lead. We ask the girls to lead, to get in front, to start this facing tandem, to form a facing tandem. All right. Lead dancers join right hands and pull by. Do that, lead dancers. Moving to the other trailing dancer, each extends a left hand and touches to a left hand mini wave and turns 1/4. In other words, left touch quarter. And then somebody brought up last year there ain't no such animal as left touch quarter. So I went to the mainstream committee, and they said that we assume that everything that can be done with the right hand can also be done with the left. Then why did they say left square through? New center dancers join right hands and form a left hand ocean wave. So I teach my dancers a right pull by and a left touch quarter. So we're going back to lead ins, and would you have the girls run around the boys and bend the line, pass through and wheel and deal. We're back into facing tandem couples again. So I can start as soon as my dancers can get into a double pass-through formation. I start establishing a traffic pattern for teaching a Dixie style. But 9 times out of 10, when you go out and call a dance and put them in this formation and say, do a Dixie style to an ocean wave, the girls in the middle will run out in front of the boys and start pulling each other around and make a left-handed wave in the middle of the whole thing. But I usually say centers lead. Do a Dixie style, give a right pull by, left touch quarter, and get them into the wave that way. Unless I'm calling to 5 squares of C1 dancers down in front heckling me. And then I let them go. But at any rate, this is a Dixie style to an ocean wave. And it's one of the few things, well, not a few things, most of the things we can lead dancers into doing without having to teach it. So when the teach time comes, all we have to do is do different types of Dixie styles to waves. Girls run, bend the line. Okay, do a right and left through. Don't worry about it. Ladies lead Dixie style to a wave. You're welcome. That's the other hall. Do a U-turn back, girls. Just the girls. Just have the girls do a U-turn back. Just the girls. Bend the line. Pass through. Bend the line. Boys lead Dixie style to a wave. Right pull by and left touch quarter. It's the same difference. Do we all practice with our dancers this way? Do we practice with boy lead, girl lead, boy girl lead, and this kind of thing? This is all the formations that I can read that we can get into a Dixie style from. I've never tried it from Alamo rings or anything like that. But it says facing tandems or facing couples. So if any of you can think of any more ways to teach a Dixie style, girls run around the boys and bend the line and find home position. No, we can't do a single. John?
Excuse me, just bringing up points for thought. Can we do a lead with a left Dixie style?
According to the definitions and according to the mainstream committee, I would say that we can. A reverse Dixie style. It doesn't say anything about a reverse Dixie style.
Dixie style ain't in it.
That's right.
Jerry Reed from Virginia again. How about a 4 ladies lead to a Dixie style ocean wave? Puts us in
Why not? Okay. You mean from a static square?
From a static square only, right?
From a static square. Let's have the 4 ladies chain to a Dixie style, right pull by, left touch quarter.
Can we?
To a wrong way there.
Or is that in the advanced program of the all four couples
I don't know. It
concept?
Says here. Facing couples are facing tandems. Well, when we had the ladies lead, we had, two facing tandems, cross to each other. Well, we have two ocean waves here, right. Two left-handed waves. I would not argue with that. I would think that's fine. Well, that's not, this is our definition. Yeah. Okay, any more another statement?
I'm Lane Traylor from Alabama. A while ago you had the girls, we were in a left-handed wave and girls in the center. You had the girls to run around the boys and they ran left around the boys. The rule in that
Please
says...
don't hold me to anything here when I'm not calling a dance. I'm just trying to get people in position.
Well, we were discussing this last night, and really, when it says all runs are to the right unless specified...
Does it say that?
Yes.
No, I'm not arguing. Does everybody know that it says that? Some people say, no, I don't know that it says that. Guys, fine run.
I may have an outdated copy.
I don't think so. I really don't think you have. We just want to,
I would
if
like
something
you to
comes
give
up,
us-
we want to read the definition. We don't want to rely on my memory. Starting formation, any two-dancer formation in which the directed dancer has a shoulder directly adjacent to another dancer. General rule. The directed active dancer moves forward in a semicircle 180 degrees around an adjacent inactive dancer to end in the adjacent dancer's starting position. Meanwhile, the inactive dancer, who may be facing in any direction, adjusts by stepping without changing facing directions into the vacated starting position in the active dancer. The active dancer doing the run has reversed his original facing direction if the direction to run is not specified right to left, and if the active dancer has an inactive dancer on each side, then centers run around ends run around centers, runs from an Alamo circle are to right unless otherwise directed. So does centers and ends run shoot you right out of the saddle?
Well, the copy I had said all runs are to the right.
Well, I'd say if I want to, then I've got to say if I have the lines passed through and the one end run left and the other end run right.
Awkward, isn't it?
Your last line where it says runs from an Alamo circle to the right unless otherwise.
Ernie, maybe I can help in...
Here's what Frank just pointed this out. Runs from an Alamo circle are to the right unless otherwise directed.
That's the only
That's the only
that right rule applies.
Right. And it clarified itself when you went to the end around center or center around end.
Right.
It's not center around center. Ever.
No. Yeah, if the ends run, they run to the inside. If the centers run, they run to the ends.
Ernie, I notice we're getting short on time.
We sure are.
Okay. There is one topic I'd like to propose for maybe the last couple minutes of this session. And let's suppose that there are callers in here who have not experienced this in their clubs, and they're buying into this and do want to go home and do it. Wouldn't it be neat if we could give us some ideas on how to go about doing that in a climate where that doesn't exist and get understanding and acceptance of the dancers?
Very good. We, as a committee, we're working on a document for you that we started yesterday, and we hopefully we have some feedback from the committee by June, and we will have a short meeting of this committee again today. After we get through here, and we need some more people to help us that did not stay over yesterday, that had signed up and didn't stay over to meet with us because of other conflicts. And we hopefully can give you teaching hints on everything that are above and beyond what the Sets in Order manual has, and what also I've come in contact with another very fine teaching manual that we'll probably be discussing sometime in the near future also. So we would like to have our manual supplement these as far as giving you hints on how to use these things and how they might be best used. We hopefully can do that with choreography. Any more questions quickly about the Dixie style and the formation from which it starts and the formation which it ends? Okay, on down the line. Quickly, let's have the heads, whoever you are, star through and do a U-turn back. And slide through. Doesn't hurt to hold hands. Well, you're in a wave, sort of an awkward wave. You know, too many waves. So, I noticed we've got some thumb locks there too. So we're in too many waves really in each side. We're in 4 many waves, and this is one of the formations from which I show my dancers a slide through. I state to my dancers that this is a sex-oriented call, a sex-related call, or whatever. Boys are always boys, and girls will always be girls. Isn't that nice? And you worry about get-outs and things like that, and I use the simplest form of get-out that I can on things like this. When I get to a slide through, I say those who can star through, and the other 4 the others do a U-turn back and star through, or anything, whatever you want to do. Go ahead, star through. And California twirl, etc. And slide through again. So there's many different ways you can use a slide through, but I start with boys, boys, girls, girls. For example, let's square your sets again. And how many times can I go into an area across the good old USA, or even Texas, and do this? Let's have the heads pair off and split your sides in round 1 and make a line of 4. Go forward up to the middle and you back right out and slide through and do a partner trade. See what I mean? I wouldn't dare do that. I mean, I'll go in and call a star through California twirl and everything runs smoothly for me. But I would not dare go into a new area that I didn't know and call a slide through and a partner trade for fear that they had not been taught properly to do a slide through. Those facing in, or the outside couples, do a half sachet and slide through. Now we tell our boys when they slide through, they should always be holding right hands when they slide through with each other. Our girls should always be holding left hands. Those who can star through, other 4 do a U-turn back and slide through. Wasn't that good? Daryl?
The reason we're doing this is to for the ease of demonstrating by definition.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I think probably, now I do call this open dances that where the dancers I'm not familiar with. The centers turn back, slide through, and just for the success rate, you see they're wrong up there. Don't fix it, honey. Don't fix it, honey. I said just the centers pass through. Everybody's facing out. At that point, I'll say everybody's facing out, and generally, everybody will turn to face out that isn't facing out. Yes, I know, hon, but the dancers out on the floor, well, they'll fix it. And then I immediately give them a hand movement. Everybody California twirl to face back in. rather than a partner trade. And they're back to normal again. But that's a very, very successful way to attack he, she slide-throughs and get the dancers through it. They will succeed. They'll do it, even though they don't know how to do it a lot of times.
Thank you, Darrell. Very well put.
The thing I like best about it is that he does it. He's out there doing it. And like he said, not particularly for his own clubs, but he's out there doing it for other dancers and having a success ratio. Great.
I think we would. I'd request that please do peel off, but I think our time will not permit. So thank you very much. Let's have a hand for our demo square here. And we'd like to have you again in Chicago. We want to take a moment for business. We want to take a show of hands on at least one item. 3 years ago, as I told you, we started working on a document. Now we feel maybe it's been superseded and maybe even been outdone. Some of the things that we have in here can still help us, and with our committee that we have more or less formed at this convention, we decided yesterday that we should pursue this, but we would like an opinion from you before we go back to the board with any recommendations that we do pursue it and that they do finance the publication of it for CALLERLAB members. It will more or less be, as I told you a moment ago, teaching hints on how to teach each of the basic and mainstream figures with choreography. Available in the other publications are styling hints and timing. So I would like to get a show of hands from you with Ralph here doing the count for us, or the result. How many of you would like we as a committee? Now, first of all, I want to know how many of you would like we as a committee to pursue this task and not only include timing and styling hints along with the teaching hints and the choreography. How many would like for us to pursue it that way, or how many would like for us to pursue it without using the timing hints, the timing and the styling hints? Do I make myself clear? Do I make myself clear? We don't want, I don't know what. We're trying to avoid duplication for one thing. Now we would like for this to be made available to all members of CALLERLAB at whatever we might have to pay for it, or nothing, as for that matter. I mean, I don't know. That would have to be determined by the board if there was any charge for it, for publication or whatnot. But I would like to see it made available to all members of CALLERLAB. And what would you prefer to be in it? Would you prefer everything that we had originally planned to be in it, which included styling hints, timing, and choreography, and definition, and teaching hints? We haven't completed it yet. We do not have the styling, we do not have the timing in it yet. We do not have the choreography, we only have the teaching hints. And we're pursuing that. Yes?
Ernie, will the timing and the styling hints be available elsewhere?
Well, we have copies in CALLERLAB has copies of timing. They have each move is timed out. They have so many steps, so many beats of music, and they also have a styling pamphlet.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
These are available in the sets in order. The American Square Dance Society manual. They're also available in Ted Fry's manual. And so I think...
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you, though, the board's going to bring that question up, just like he said. Those are already available. They're already available free. So I can hear the arguments now, having sat in with that bunch of guys before. They're going to say...
Those that are available, are they CALLERLAB approved?
No, I mean the CALLERLAB office will send you definitions, they'll send you timings, they'll send you stylings. Right now, they're going to say, why should we print it again?
Exactly. Okay, that's fine. This is my first time here, so I'm still a little fuzzy about what I'll do.
Just to clarify that, because maybe I missed a point on that. Whatever is sent to us would not be the sets in order material, but it would be specific material under CALLERLAB name.
Yes,
because I think that's very important that we only use our own material and disseminate our own material, not others.
We can't assimilate other people's material, you know.
Yeah, I just want.
That's available to you.
However, their material now is verbatim. It's just prepared in a fancier form.
Go ahead.
Jack Cook from Michigan. I still feel that we should be careful that we're not going to damage some of our other folks' businesses, but that are already publishing. But I think if we issue this as a supplement to anything that's already out, I see nothing wrong with this. This way it would be fair, it would be a service to the callers. And that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Jim Jenkins, Berlin, Germany. I appreciate the effort in the calling, teaching hints that you have there. I appreciate the styling effort that has gone in the styling report and the timing report. I do not believe we should compile these into a manual or a book, because in doing so we will be competing with Bob Osgood and Ted Fry and all the other people who have compiled these items. Now, as individual committee reports, I do believe they are and should be published and distributed. If a caller doesn't want to buy a compiled book from Bob Osgood, he can compile his own from these reports. I believe that is very important, that we note that we don't want to compete with these guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Johnny Mall from Georgia. Personally, I would like to see you compile this in its entirety. I don't know about the rest of the people. I'm not a full-time caller, and it takes all of my spare time that I have now, and I'm thinking about having to go through three different books and how I have them filed. Sometimes I can't find them, but I would like very much to have it compiled into one, so if I look in one section, that's all I have to look for. Thank you.
Jim Blackwood, Quincy, Illinois. Since I was involved in it 2 years ago, I would hate to see the project come to an end. The other thing that I think is important is that we have callers from all over the country with different ideas and different philosophies about how to teach a figure. And these manuals that Bob has put out and that Ted Fry has put out is one person's ideas and philosophies. And I agree with the gentleman just before that... No?
That's not true.
Okay. At any rate, I would like to see the members of CALLERLAB who have spoken in the meeting have some of their ideas down, because I think some of them are pretty good ideas that we all could share the information on. So I would say go ahead and continue the project.
Wayne?
It's been too much time to put in it to drop it now.
All right. Shall we take a straw vote? I would let... I'm going to let Frank do this. Okay. Then we'll let Frank ask for the vote, however he so chooses. Here's what we're talking about. Shall we complete this document in its entirety and make it available at whatever cost the board or whoever chooses to say that you may purchase this from the CALLERLAB office for X amount of dollars or whatnot? Or shall we complete this document with only teaching hints in it and choreography? Or shall we drop it?
We have then 3 votes as I see it. That's what you want. Is that right, Ernie? I'm trying to figure the best way to separate those that'll give you a chance to really, truly voice your opinion. I was going to say that was my thought. Let's vote on all those in favor of dropping the project entirely. Please hold up your hands. That's easy. All those against dropping the project, hold up your hands. It's unanimous. So that leaves us with two alternatives. Now, we proceed from here by saying, should we correlate the reports available in CALLERLAB now, definitions, styling, timing, add to that this committee's report of choreographical uses and teaching hints, or should we merely just take the last two facets of that, not include the other committee reports, but just include our own of choreographical examples and teaching hints? All those in favor of including all CALLERLAB reports up till now, definitions, timing, styling, teaching hints, and choreography, please hold up your hands.
I got 35.
35, okay. We got two of them that agreed, so it's got to be within one either way of that. Okay, all those in favor of merely putting out a publication from this committee that would include only choreographical suggestions and teaching hints, hold up your hands. No, it is Negro. I want to know the balance. Get them all.
I have 4 in the back.
Doctor. Give a box of Mars.
What, 20? Okay.
Frank, did you say you only had 35 on the other?
Oh, I got 35 from two different.
30 here, 35.
We were counting halves.
There was 2 numbers, 35 from the back,
And 30 there, 65 altogether.
65 altogether.
65. Okay, is there anything else you want polled, Ernie? I mean, it's pretty evident then the consensus is that our desired direction, now there again we have to do it with approval, but our desired direction is the whole thing. Not really duplication of effort, no. It's a matter of additional effort to correlate.
We have the material.
May I say something,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman? I think this has been one of the best 3 conducted sessions that we've ever had at CALLERLAB, and we ought to thank the committee and Ernie and all the hosts.
Thank you. We have something good to talk about, don't we? After all, teaching is square dancing. If we don't teach dancers, we don't have dancers.
Now, all these votes and stuff were great, but when Ernie starts after you now for input into this manual, these votes aren't going to mean a thing unless we get any results. See that little bit of paper there? The last time we went out and surveyed, Jim Blackwood sent us 4 times that much. In fact, I still haven't got through reading all of it yet, and I've been reading for 2 years. But seriously, when you're asked by Ernie to contribute, he needs your input. Without your input, this project is going to go down in the mud. So when the time comes for help, jump in there and help us, gang. And he'll use everything you send him if it's that's what I'm saying. Yes, you will. You'll use everything you send it in its initial form, and then it'll start being weeded out. And if yours gets weeded out, don't get your feelings hurt. It was because it was decided that something else might have supplemented it or been better. But feel like you've contributed, even though your words may not have appeared in the final product. You contributed when you sent that thing in. That's what we want you to know.
Thank you guys very much for coming, and we'll see you we'll make this report to the Board of Governors and see what the outcome is there, and we'd like for our committee people to stay here, and those of you who would like to serve on this committee, please stick around because we need you. I use that.